Well, series project's got a name. Silicon. Enjoy the episode. So I decided to get the steering box out of this thing, largely because I think the bearing has disintegrated at the top end here. I'm not happy with it. There's always a risk that balls will drop right down inside the shaft and then jam the steering box up. And at this point, it's easy enough, in theory, to get the steering box out. Now, that said, every single one of the bolts that I've encountered so far has been loose. Okay, the drop arm did need the Pitman puller, but didn't really put up a huge struggle. All the bolts that secured the box to the chassis, or to the chassis upright there, are all loose. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And then I'm thinking, right, the brakes aren't working. So, as is evidenced by the complete lack of fluid in there. So I thought, well, okay, well, I'll just get the brake master off. Now, normally what you do is you go in here, and you would go through the side axis hole, pull the pin out, or pull the circlip out, withdraw the clevis pin that supports and holds the servo and the master onto the pedal box. And yeah, you don't normally expect to see that though. That really is. I can't see how that was actually doing anything at all, really. It's half of a... There we are. Looks like a hair clip, doesn't it? Is that a hair clip, you reckon? If I can get the lamp balanced in there, I could probably extract it. No, I honestly don't know what that is. I think it's been bent around. I think it might be a hair clip, you know. What the fuck? Why don't you just use a nail? For God's sake. But anyway, this is the normal way. Sorry, back of my hand there. Oh, it might have been a split pin. Fuck's sake. Anyway, now that's out, I can take the washer off, which has just dropped inside the car anyway. I'll go and retrieve that. Well, I say it dropped inside the car. I thought I heard it. There it is. Washer. I might do this up a bit better next time. And then, sometimes these pins come out, and sometimes they don't. And in this case, they do, which pleases me greatly. Oh, there we are, one clevis pin. It's got quite a lot of wear on it. It's been filed down, look. Might have been something else that was used for. Never mind. Right, now I can undo the 4 bolts for the master and withdraw it. I'm inclined actually, because these brake lines are shambles too. Sorry, lamp is right in the camera there. These brake lines here are a bit of a shambles. They're not really supported in any way up here. So I need to get those fixed up. So I'll just undo the brake unions at the master, take the whole master and servo off. I don't know what's been fixed on this, and I don't know what's not been fixed on this. So I think it's just going to have to come apart. I really kind of didn't want to take all the pedal boxes and stuff out, but it might end up that I have to. Right, so these 2 unions need to come apart first of all. I'm not going to slide the cardboard up and down the wings before you will start going on about what a ham-fisted gibbon I am. It's just there ready to protect the paintwork on the wing from my arms. Metric fixings, which is good. Copper pipes, which I'm not an enormous fan of copper pipes. Conifer is a better material. If you're going to make your pipes up, you might as well. It's rude not to, but we'll see what we're going to do with these. We need to find a better way of routing and fixing them to the bulkhead, because I think just dangling the first metre of their kind of life is not very good, especially on a diesel. Lots of vibration, especially on a series diesel. This ferrule is just a mild steel cheapo ferrule. It's all gone rusty. It's proving to be a bit of a bastard to get out. Come on, you fucker. Now, the brake light switch is broken on this as well, which I'll need to set up. It just basically goes through that hole up there. I'm taking it off to save braking it any further. Futile really, I guess, but no, I wanted to see what was going on inside, just to make sure that the clevis pin was going to come out. I think you need to take the servo off. I've got a little bit of fluid coming out there, that's good. Oh my goodness. 7/16. This one is coming off. There were no brakes on this thing, by the way, before I started. That wasn't me farting, that was the cardboard against the servo here. This was better. Let's get that down there, because I don't want the brake lines coming into the engine bay, you see. They can just sit there and drip. That's all dripping quite happily. Oh yes, right, okay, now I need to get these off next. So we've got the 4 bolts that hold the servo, which are loose, onto the pedal box. Bum, 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 bum. Blue pipe central on this thing, it really is. I need to change the intercooler as well. I think the common conversion, when people put these 200 TDIs into their series, people are using the 300 TDI intercooler. I don't know what the intercooler is that's in this thing. I think it's off a truck. So, fuck's sake. I don't think there's enough room for me to get that out. I'd take the pedal box out, would be easy, wouldn't it? Seeing as there's only 6 bolts now holding the pedal box in, let me take that pedal box out. Let me clean my hands up first of all. Before we do that, what was I swearing at just now? So, there's the gator on the end of the servo. A nice piece of Chinesium. And underneath it all is all the seal and the air washer. I mean, everything on this thing is just fucked. Look at it. So, might need a servo refurb. I'll see if I can get the gaskets and so forth. It's not beautiful though, is it? Right. And then down here, you can see what I'm battling with. So, put the lamp up there. The lamp can fucking stay. Right. Steering box. Pedal box. If I take the pedal box out, the steering box can then come this way. And I can extract it. What an absolute hooligan. Right, that's that out. Thank you, DeWalt. Brushless. DCF 901. Windy, as he's known. Right, now the pedal box can come out. Oh, except it's trapped under the fucking steering. Why is that not coming out? That should come out now. Oh, it's fucking glued in. Oh, please, no more fucking glued in shit. Why would you fucking glue it in? It's because there's no boxes or anything around the steering box or anything. They just put fucking mastic all round it. Oh look, there's another loose bolt. What was that? Spare bolt. Twats. It fucks me off, it does. Can we get this thing out at all? No, absolutely not a chance. I'm going to have to get... That was a waste of fucking time then, wasn't it? Right, let's pop that on there. Let's undo these two bolts on the upright. Here, now I can see them. There's never a dull moment, there really isn't. Cock! Oh, you bastard. The trouble is, it's still a little bit. There we go, that's off. It's off. Right, now we're out. One, steering shaft. Get out there, you fucker. There we go. So. Right, let's get the bolts and things back. There's the great big plate that goes on the chassis. Just lock these through. Yeah, I think that where the engine mount has been welded onto the chassis, the forward bolt, there's not enough room for it to have a nut on it. So they just wedge the bolt in. Because the engine mounting itself is more or less where the bit would go through. Right, never mind. It happens. Right. Let's put the steering box and arm on the bench. We'll look at that tomorrow. Oh, there's one other thing I noticed while I was working this thing apart. While I was talking to my son, check this out. Look at the length of that pinch bolt. I mean, I can imagine that actually would interfere with the steering, because as it goes that way, it's going to clout against the side of the radiator. I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, up here, this thing's been masticked in. Look at it all up here. It's all silicon and shit. Oh, it's my favourite product. Look. Fucking shit. All around here is just silicon. So, I mean, just now I was trying to get this fucking thing off. And it's sort of glued in place. I probably don't need to take it off, so therefore I probably won't. Before this steering box goes back in again though, I might be inclined to get in there and drill the pop rivet off that metal plate. Again, the whole fucking dash needs to come out in order to get to it. It's just more. That doesn't shut nicely. It will do though. More than I really fancied doing tonight. There you go. shouting at series Land Rovers. Fun and games. Yes. Need to get the radiator panel out of the series. Two reasons. First and foremost, I've got a new radiator to go in, and when we look through the enormous intercooler, we can see the radiator's actually in quite a poor state down here. Get this fucker out. Get the radiator out. I've also got the front wheels off because I wanted to check hubs and brakes, so I'm going to get these off in a second. I'll run through that. In fact, that's not even held on with a screw. There we go, that will come off quite quickly. I'll run through what I'm doing here, and then kind of just started looking around. Let me get onto the roller. I don't like lying on this concrete floor because I come up ever so dusty. Now, that actually looks like someone's run a knife across there. Similarly, what the fuck? I wanted to get the drag link and everything off anyway because I think the steering relay is too tight, and I'll service that anyway as part of the kind of the steering overhaul. The rest of this thing, got new springs, got decent dampers on it. I can't see, there's a bit of a hub leak on this side from the bottom of the hub. All Land Rovers leak oil. When they stop leaking oil, they're empty. I look at these for brake lines. All of this is going to get redone, I'm afraid. There's no way is that acceptable. It's just not connected to anything. So I'm probably going to end up having to rebuild. The flexi lines are aero, so they look good. But I'm not happy with quite a few silly little details on this. I mean, so for instance, that bolt there that holds the front kind of deck scuttle thing on, that one was done up to about 60 foot-pounds, and that one was loose. I just don't understand some of this stuff. Anyway, bollocks to all that. Let's. I need to get the radiator out. I need to get the front panel off. I need to drain the cooling system. I need to get the steering off, and then just generally go through it. I've got some new boots. So if I'm finding that these ball joints are in good order, I'll just replace the boot on them. That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? I mean, when it comes off, we'll have a good look at that, but that just seems a little bit... Maybe a rat's been nibbling on it, I don't know. Cleaning out the radiator now, because I need to get it out. And looking around in here, I'm not convinced that's the best place for an engine oil cooler, but never mind. I don't think this thing's going to be working that hard. I've seen a lot of folk where they mount it up here on these 200 TDI conversions. There's nothing, by the way, holding this intercooler in other than the pipes. That's all that's holding it in. Oh, old hoses. What the fuck? Old hoses held on with bits of garden wire. Is there a clip on that? There is a clip on there. I don't know what that garden wire's for. I've got no idea. Yeah, plenty of old hoses on here still. Yeah, I think once I get this rad out, get the intercooler out, I'll be able to see what's going on. Yes. Yes, you make a yes face. Quite why it needs to be that big, I have no idea. Anyone know what this is from? I'm guessing a truck. Yeah. It's all out. It was held in largely on a wing and a prayer. The steering relay is fine. I've not bothered taking the steering relay out. It operates by hand. I'm happy enough with that. I should lube it before it all goes back together again. So I'm happy enough down there. I think the next thing really I need to do, because I wanted to get all this lot out so I could start working on what we're going to do about intercooler. So what I've seen online, when people put 200 TDIs into Series 3s, not Defenders, as they put a 300 TDI intercooler there, radiator there with an electric fan on the front of it, because there just ain't enough room on the front of the water pump for an electric fan. Interestingly, down here, this free floating brake line, There's actually a clip on the chassis here. It could, in theory, clip into that. There we are. It's already less free floating. I would want to see it not actually touching anything though. The problem is that what they've done is they've bought one of these auto mech kits, I think, and they've just wiggled the cable around until it's the right sort of length. It might be a case of reusing the ferrules, I think, and just making up new pipes that actually fit the car. And this bolt would appear to be about 1mm too short in that it won't foul this, or the radiator when it's on there. I think that's more luck than judgment. Right, I think next I'm going to get this hub off because it's warm here because I've got the sun coming through the door. Let me get that off and I'll just have a quick look around inside. Do you want to have a look? Do you want to watch while I do it? For now. There we go. Someone's sensible's been here because they chamfered the edges off the shoes, which is good. Let's see what's happening behind the seals. Oh, that was dry. And that was dry. You got the springs the right way round. I'll just double check the manual because there's so many different applications for how the spring should go. These little pub locks are quite neat because I'm guessing because we've got an LT95 in there, it's permanent four-wheel drive. So then you're using the hub locks to engage or disengage the four-wheel drive, which means that because the front prop is always turning, that the diff at the front and the wheel bearing should also be getting the lubrication. The only thing that's not engaged is the hub. So that says 4x2. So in theory I should be able to turn that, and I can, and put it to 4x4, and the other hub should be turning forward. I'm not convinced about that. That fizzy gravy in there, that was the contents of the radiator. Yes. Rusty water. Now, they look like they are a star drive. That's fairly easy, isn't it? How does it actually come off? Like that. Just like that. Right. So basically there's a serrated tooth on the inside there. It looks like it attaches onto a serrated tooth on the end of the hub. Quite how that works though. Oh, I see. When you turn the knob, it pushes that in and out. That's quite clever, isn't it? And it engages onto the end of the hub. Right, now, having done that, fancy little clip, and that wants to come off. I mean, there's not a huge amount of oil in there. I'd expect a little bit more than that, but oh, lighter charge. Oh, goody, lots of silicon. Lots of silicon. Oh, yes. There's got to be other ways of setting these things up, there really has. Lots of it. Acres and acres of silicon. There are other products out there, chaps, you know. That's like a giant bogey on the end. Right, so now we can see lots of silicon. Miles and acres and acres and acres of silicon. I think I found out why the hubs are leaking oil. Right, the chaps over the road are making a racket. I can't wait until they finish making a racket, so I'm going to do this video now. Right, so front hub. This is the front driver's side hub of the Series Land Rover, which is actually going to get a nickname of the loose bolt, because every bloody fixing I've come up to so far has been loose. Now this thing has got these quite nifty little, put the tripod here, nifty little AVM hub lockers, and it's a dead straightforward thing to work. So if we put it to 4x2, you notice that little plate there is recessed. As I move around towards 4x4, you can see that pops out. Yeah, nice. And then it locks into this drive plate here, like that, and then forces the drive. It's a bit of a rattle on it, and I'm not convinced that, you know, it's not going to cope with, I mean, once it's all screwed down and everything, but I'm not convinced that it's not going to, you know, self-destruct. But anyone's got any experience of AVM hub lockers, then fine. The only reason they're on this, by the way, is because we've got an LT95 gearbox on this particular device, and it doesn't have a separate diff lock on it. So the centre diff is locked through, so it's driving both prop shafts constantly. And obviously, if you're on the road and you don't have hub lockers on the front wheels, then you're going to be in permanent four-wheel drive, but without any centre diff. It's going to cause you problems. Now, a couple of observations. First and foremost, absolutely tons and tons of silicon on this. I've been cleaning it all off. I'm going over it, really just clearing all the crap out. It's just acres of it. I'm not quite sure why. I think the reason for the oil leak is largely because bearing faces have been painted. Paint, the bearing faces. Gasket faces have been painted. Now, I had, if this comes off here, it will come off here, I'm sure. There we are, it comes off there. There's a nice big O-ring on the inside there that's supposed to seal that. Again, it's not an easy way of actually putting a gasket on this, but I'm inclined to put the original hub style gasket. I'll be packing it in there. That style of thing will probably fit on there. I don't know. If that goes through the middle, then fine. Otherwise, it's going to have to be something like a blue Hydermar, I think, in order to lock it in place. But first and foremost, I think we might get rid of some of the paint off here. It's never going to work, folks. It's never going to work when you paint a gasket face. Now, bearings, I've had them apart, so the rear hub seal is twin-lipped. It wasn't, didn't have its spring on the outside edge, so that would have been leaking. It wasn't leaking badly, but it was leaking. The bearings are an MNR, so that's Monkey November Romeo, and then it's got an S 603049. As far as I can make out, they're in Indian. As far as I can make out, they're an Indian, allegedly premium quality. I don't think that they're actually even available in this country, so God knows when these were fitted. That said, looking at where the bearing is running on the track in here, it's smooth. I don't think they're that old. I'm inclined to pop it back together again. There's no obvious signs of wear on the bearing nor the race. I'll have a chat with the customer. As far as I can see, that's fine. And then when it came to the stub axle, we'll go around over here. Stub axle's in good order, and again, there's paint and crap on where the seal should mate. So I'm going to take the stub axle off. The only reason it went back on last night was just to clean some of the dust and the crap out of there. Drive shaft comes straight out. It's got the standard UJ type of front drive shaft. Now, I don't know what you boys think that have done, or you boys and girls, you people, I don't know what you people think. That's off, that's good news. That's going to get cleaned up anyway. I don't know what you people think about the original style universal joint of drive shaft. It's not a CV joint, it's just a universal joint. Let's go back and have a look at it. We can go back and have a look at it now. Running out of battery fairly fast. I'll pull him out just a smeg. Fuck's sake. There we are. That's all it is. It's a Hardy Spicer. Universal joint. Standard fucking fitment, that is. It works beautifully on things like drive shafts and prop shafts, but prop shafts don't generally operate at that sort of extreme articulation. Now, it could well be that that is more than suited to a 200 TDI LT95 conversion of a Series 3? I don't know. And again, paint on gasket faces. So really, it's going to be quite straightforward to remedy the little oil leak that we had on here. And that's going to be really, wiping my hands off, to sort the gasket faces out, to put it back together with new gaskets and probably a blue Hylamar rather than silicon sealant, and reassemble it. And then the other thing I need to do is I need to press these studs out and press these studs in. Can you get one out of there? You probably can. Nicely organised, Richard. Yeah, I think you've done rather well here, chap. Now these studs here, as you can see, they've got significantly more length to them, and these will allow the fitment of the Wolf style wheels that the customer wants on this car. Yeah. Drum looks new on this. I'll just give it a quick degrease before it goes back on, and the brake back plate is looking good. The oil at the bottom end of the brake back plate down there is from when I started to undo the hub, and the excess oil drained down. It's just diff oil. You can see I've caught it in the washing up bowl. My wife asked, "Where's the washing up bowl?" It's coming home tonight, darling. It's coming home tonight. There you go. Right, so I'm going to concentrate on doing all this shit today. There's nothing really that dramatic. It really is just a case of cleaning up all these gasket faces, putting a new gasket on there, reassembling with new seals, new gaskets, and just putting it all back together again. I'm not convinced. This is what I was saying yesterday. None of these lock tabs have been done up on this top swivel. So I'll probably need to knock off the ball joint here. I'll probably need to do that anyway because, as you've seen, I've had issues with the other ball joint rubbers, and you can get them. Beermac do a replacement rubber. There's nothing wrong with the relay, by the way. That was the other thing. And the brake flexi was loose in its housing here. And apart from that, we're going swimmingly. Quite enjoying working on this. The relay I can move by hand, so I'm happy with that. No issues with that at all. I'm just going to take the lube bowls out and just make sure it's got oil in it. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with that relay at all. Yeah, so really going to assemble it with the original bearings, and the reason I zip tie them like this is because I know then which one's the inner and which one's the outer. You with me? So they can go back into their same seats. My top tip for the day. Okay, yeah, I'm going to get on with this. I'm going to put the radio on, so I can't video when I put the radio on, because otherwise I can't monetize the video. Monetising the video gives me a little bit more beer money. There you go. If you fancy buying me a beer, there's a link scrolling along the bottom of the screen right now. All donations are gratefully received. Thank you so much. Sincere face. Axel says it all, really. Paint right where the seal goes through. Paint, paint, paint. I've scraped most of the paint off. But just to prove the point here, why would you fucking paint that? Anyway, on the underside here, we've got everything. We've got silicone, we've got remains of gaskets, we have got paint. So I think when I clean all this lot up, see the paint around here, someone has painted the inside face of it. I need to replace this little seal in here as well. Yeah, I think we'll go back together again. It's all fairly easy to get this shit off, it really is. That's taking the paint and the gasket off. So rather than putting a gasket on, we'll put paint and silicone on it. Yes. Oh, that'll work, won't it? That'll work. All this shit up here can come off as well. That's paint. You don't need to paint the inside of this thing to start. You really don't need to paint the inside of shit. I wouldn't have needed to take this thing apart then, would I? Look at the paint here, look. Might have to get the zip weird on this. Have to clean it back. gasket off. You can see where the paint is now. Fuck's sake. Monkeys.